Okay, now as we push into the next turn, nobody had much money and only huge expensive things were out there. Well, one person had enough, the guy with two shrimp licenses to generate extra money. And he looked at this king crab card and said, you know, if I buy this, I'm already pulling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extra types of licenses. I'm already pulling in more than the Fisherman's Pub, and this one doesn't look likely to do that. So since he had enough cash to do so, and it's a lot, it cost him $8 out of his hand, he has a lot of cards, but he chose to do it. No one else could buy any of these, and now we just pull one out. You know I'm cheating. Am I not? I think unbought licenses go away. Oh no, only if nothing is bought do they go away. Now, I may have cheated last time, yeah, because I remembered there was something along those lines. With all those 4 out there, I think they should have been cleared away. Oh well. I always make mistakes, right? It's kind of interesting to not have them all go away, because this option, that would have cleared the entirety of the priority ones. But I can see the point, which is, hey, nobody wanted anything? There they all go. So you have to kind of step in. I'm not going to go back and try to fix anything, of course. This guy bought his king crab, and we got a lobster out there for next time. And now we go to the launching. And since people didn't buy much, you'd think they'll be able to have enough cards to put some boats out. We'll see. And now pushing our way through the turn, well, what we see, and I've got the draw face still before I move this, the people with the processing vessels are able to move their boxes of fish and generate cards, but that doesn't mean other people can't generate cards. So, for example, let's take a look. First of all, the tuna can generate slightly more cards. The lobsters, we see this guy with 4 ships beginning to pull 2 cards a turn on lobsters. And he doesn't have to give up the fish. Now, granted, he's got a couple of ships that he's loaded up on fish on that he can't do anything with anymore. But what's kind of hard is to balance out where your points are, right? Because you have 2, 4, 6, only 7 points in ships here, and 10 points in licenses. But we go over to this guy, and he's got 4 points in ships and 7, 11, 14, 18, and another 11, 29 points in licenses. So it looks to me that just getting ships out isn't enough. You really do need to get involved in those license bidding. This guy again, 2, 4, 6, 8, and only 3 points in licenses. So you want to optimize the number of licenses and the quality that you can buy. I think that's a clear thing about it, and that's why they're up for bidding, and the ships are just kind of in your hand. But in order to do that, we can see it's not absolutely necessary to have these processing vessels. These shrimp and other bonus cards are working just as well, when the initial thought in the game for me was, I want to process fish, I want to process fish. Well, it's not necessarily that important. It's okay, I'm stuck here. Yes, there's things that aren't generating for me, but that's okay. Well, we had a cheap lobster card up there. The first player here said, well, I got a lot of boats. I could really use more licenses because that's what I'm missing. I'm missing that side of the game. I've just been cranking boats out. He wasn't able to get it for a price he was willing to pay. He had all these cubes he was going to throw in. He thought they were his way in. But this guy kind of outbid him and ended up picking it up. And it's nice for him. Actually, it would have been really nice for him with all his boats as well. It's nice for him, though, because it gives him his 2nd lobster license, which means his 3 ships now produce 2 cards a turn, which is an advantage. Over here, This guy could have easily bought anything he liked, but he went for a Fisherman's Pub. It gives him an extra type of license as far as I can tell, although it doesn't say it on here. So I don't know, I may have to look that up. That certainly fit into his decision-making process, was that he got an extra point for it on the king crab, but I don't know if that's really the case. Let's flip up a couple more. Get some more cod and some tuna. Interesting moment here is this guy has the 2 shrimp. He's able to launch his cod boat. He can't put a captain on it for free. He does so. Why? Because the cod license gives him a free card for doing so. And it's probably going to be a better card than the cod card, which it is. So it's kind of a way to recycle your hand, maybe not get an advantage, but get a little bit of hand change action going in there by using these cards. Alright, slipping around for the next turn, we had an interesting auction where the first player put up this cod. It went for $5 to this guy. Nobody else wanted in on it. Then we moved down here. He decided to just buy the Fisherman's Pub. Nobody wanted to oppose him on that. Although actually, he did not want to buy the Fisherman's Pub, I'm sorry. He wanted to buy the King Crab. He had to pay all cash with that. He's got a couple of cards left. This guy put up this tuna at the minimum price, but the question here was between another Fisherman's Pub, which has more victory point bonus, and improving his tuna so that he gets to hold 2 cards out of 3. The big difference, he can put more cards out and start building up his fleet side of things if he didn't buy the Fisherman's Pub. The Fisherman's Pub would have pretty much cleared his hand. But there's a limited number of these, and they are valuable just in terms of the amount of victory points you get for the money you get. Let's deal some more out. Another processing vessel. I bet you that's going to go for a decent amount because when people have frozen ships that they don't know what to do. I've stopped going in about the launches and everything. Really, it's just there's a lot of mechanical stuff. Once you make your decisions of what you're buying, and then maybe a little bit to how you pad your hand if you have processing vessels, everything just sort of falls into place. It's clear we're getting close to the end of the game. There aren't a lot of these cards left. This guy is slowing down on how many things he's not pushing his boxes onto his processing vessel anymore. He's just generating cards with the ones he has on there. And everybody else is kind of tooling up for that end game situation. Get ships out. And well, getting them captained, was that more important? So this guy had the option of putting a ship out that was worth 3 victory points, or starting to captain that ship so that he can produce boxes. It's kind of a shame you can't get rid of the captains on the ships that are full, because otherwise they could just kind of float out there. But you know, there is this kind of balance. You need the processing vessel to be licensed to be able to move things around that way. All right, let me deal out the cards and move the marker. Well, production was high enough that everybody got what they put up to bid. The first player put the processing vessel to bid. That went for a fortune, though. Let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8 total. He was bidding against the other guy without a processing vessel, who would have gotten an extra victory point off of it. But both of them have a load of crates on board. It just was beginning to seem like way too much for the low victory points and the short amount of time left in the game. Second player, yeah, that's my wonderful morning music. Second player picked up the Fisherman's Pub. Nobody else was interested in it. This guy didn't have the cash. This guy saw better things available to him in terms of cost to victory point ratio. Now this guy picked the next best one, the cod. $4, 4 victory points, best ratio you can get out of, you know, especially out of the cheap stuff. And it gives improvements on launches, which are more likely maybe than holding that extra card at the end of the turn. Who knows? The advantages at this point begin to kind of trail away. You want these are the advantages you want early in the game, not so much at this point. You're buying them for the victory points now, pretty much. But that went up to $5, and you can see he only had to pay 3 because of all of his shrimp. And this one, well, he picked up the cod at full price, and he threw a cube in for that. He just wants to be able to launch a boat, to tell you the truth. He doesn't have any more processing vessels in his hand. This was either one of these would have allowed him to launch a boat with what he has. And turning these suckers up, there are only 3 left, which means the game ends at the end of this turn. So most of these advantages aren't going to matter. Basically, now it's just optimize your points. And they were pretty much in that mode before on the auction phase too. Well, everybody launched, and this guy had the kind of neat advantage. This is kind of weird in the game, but I think I did this correctly. He had the shrimp boat, which he could launch for no cost, and this lobster boat, which he could launch for no cost because of the advantages on his purchases. He's able to launch 2 boats. He also got 2 cards after launching them, which he could captain the boats with, so he got an extra victory point for each for a captained boat. At this point, I'm in the processing phase. I just handed out the fish cubes, but there's no reason to process fish, making this processing vessel totally valueless, a real bad investment in his case. Because if you move the cubes off, you're throwing victory points away. For what? Well, maybe for cards, but cards aren't worth victory points either at this point. There's no more use for cards. The only thing we're going to do is draw some more cards, which I'm not even going to bother doing. Like I said, as you get to the end of the game, those advantages that are the in-play advantages, and this is like in many Euro games, stop having any real value anymore. Although some of them, like this, actually ended up helping, giving enough cards to captain all the boats, etc. If I read it correctly. I'll come back with the score, and then I'll do a review. Hey, we might as well score this in real time, because you're not going to see much otherwise. 4, 7, 11, 14, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 32, 36, 40, 43, 47, 51 over here, which is sounds kind of high. Oh, joy. Yes, I should write these down. It's probably easier, but I can't do that one-handed. I can't do the dice one-handed either. Okay. 7, 10, 18, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 35, 37, 38 here. Did I miss points somewhere? 7, 10, 16, 21, 31, 35. It looks like it already. 39, 41, 44, 46, 48. I missed the pub because, you see, it's a different color, and I have trouble when things look a little different reading them somehow. They just get excluded from my mind. This poor guy is in really bad shape. So we're looking at 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 21, 24, 28, 31, 34. So far it looks pretty close, except for the guy who just has totally lost. But this guy looks like he's been winning, and I can't find a 3. And let's take a look at him. 5. Oh, this guy had a king crab I forgot about. 1 per fleet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or 1 per captain. He's got 5 extra points. That puts him up to 53. Okay, so now he's in the lead. And that's kind of where I thought he was. I thought he'll be placing in second. This guy's in good shape, though. He's got 5 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. different types. 5 plus 8 is 13, 16, 20, 24, 27, 30, 38, 48 already, 50, 53, 57, he's already in the lead here, 65, 68, 69. Significant advantage, and we saw that very early, that he was sort of cranking points at a level other people weren't, largely because of these shrimp. And what I'm beginning to see is there's sort of this mixed, there's a lot of good things early on if there's the right cards. Yeah, the processing vessel is very important, there's no question. The one guy who had a couple of them managed to come in second, but it's not vital. And my first thought was, yeah, it's going to be vital. No, this guy managed to start cranking and producing better based on some of his other cards. I believe the lobster and the cod were out there early as well. So, you want to optimize how many cards you're getting. And if that means a processing vessel or whatever, that may make sense, but there are other ways to generate cards. Just because your ships are filling up with blocks isn't necessarily going to be a major penalty for you, because those are victory points in the end. Although, you kind of do want to use what you got, right? It's difficult to see that, but this is definitely a game where the more you play it, you're going to get more of an idea of where you are, and there's a lot to learn about how well you're doing in a way that, maybe a traditional card game, maybe that learning comes more secretly or something, or is just more automatic, because you got a score in front of you. In this game, you don't really have that score. You have to add it up. You have to do some effort to see who's winning. And even then, you might not know, because it's not victory points, of course. It's your little production engine here, just like in most Euros. And then you have to make this switch to victory points at some point. I'll come back with my review in a bit, but I'm going to load this one up as sort of the wrap for the game.